is Mary of the Anchorage, Alaska Memories Club.
And this is Mike. In this edition, we're looking at a tent city in the wilderness. A tent city quickly sprang up out of the wilderness. It was filled with a ragtag collection of tents and temporary wood buildings. The conditions were rugged and unsanitary. What caused this rush? It wasn't gold. From May to June in 1914, 11 survey parties were sent from Seattle to Alaska. The purpose of those survey crews was to determine possible routes for a proposed Alaska Railroad.
U.S. President Woodrow Wilson decided. In April of 1915, President Wilson made the decision that the Alaska Railroad would run from Seward to Fairbanks. The route would take the railroad past the coal deposits of the Matanuska Valley and would end in Fairbanks. Construction headquarters would be established at the mouth of Ship Creek at Cook Inlet.
The Alaska Railroad Act. In 1915, the United States Congress authorized construction of the only federally owned railroad in the history of the U.S. Enter the Alaska Engineering Commission, the AEC. In the spring of 1915, work began on the Alaska Railroad. A construction site was set up at the mouth of Ship Creek.
Then, on April 29, 1915, Martha Babe White drove the first spike on the Alaska Railroad at Ship Creek.
The plateau above Ship Creek. Lots were laid out for a 240-acre site under the supervision of Andrew Christensen of the General Land Office. The town site would become Anchorage, Alaska. The first house built in Anchorage is located in Elderberry Park at 420 M Street in Anchorage. Oscar Anderson built the first house in Anchorage in 1915. That house still stands today as an Anchorage tourist attraction. And by the way, Oscar Anderson claimed to be the 18th person to set foot on what is now Anchorage. He lived in his house until his death in 1974.
What would they call this new town? On August 9, 1915, an election was held to decide on an official name for the town that was springing up before their eyes. Names to consider included Alaska City, Gateway, Homestead, Lane, named after Secretary of the Interior Franklin D. Lane, Matanuska, Ship Creek, Terminal, Winalaska. There were 538 votes cast. The winner was Alaska City with 146 votes. Lane came in second with 129 votes. The governor at the time, J.F.A. Strong, wanted Matanuska. The Alaska Engineering Commission, the AEC, wanted the name Ship Creek.
Enter the United States Post Office. As the story goes, a vessel was anchored in Cook Inlet off the settlement of Knik, just across the inlet from the tent city of Ship Creek. The vessel was named Anchorage. Apparently, the U.S. Post Office thought it was a good name, so they decided to give the new town at Ship Creek the name Anchorage. Roy Don Chase was appointed the first postmaster, and all mail was then sent to Anchorage, Alaska. The new name was quickly added to maps and was used in news stories covering the building of the Alaska Railroad and the town.
A newspaper opens in town. On June 5, 1915, from its ragged tent office, the first issue of the Cook Inlet Pioneer and Knik News was issued as Volume 1, Number 1, a weekly newspaper. That October, the name of the first newspaper in the tent city of Anchorage was changed to the Cook Inlet Pioneer, and it became Anchorage's first daily newspaper. Note, The Cook Inlet Pioneer would later become the Anchorage Daily Times.
Earlier, we mentioned Knik, which was once the largest settlement on Cook Inlet. Knik was there long before the Alaska Railroad Act and the tent city at Ship Creek. Goods were shipped from Knik to interior Alaska, but when the Alaska Railroad bypassed Knik in favor of Ship Creek, and when the railroad reached Wasilla, Knik lost its place as a shipping point. As a result, most of Knik was abandoned, and many of the buildings were moved to other communities like Wasilla. Have you taken a trip on the Alaska Railroad? Just think about those pioneers who came to the mouth of Ship Creek in 1915 to build a railroad and a town from nothing. Those pioneers who went before us were a hardy breed. No cell phones or streaming video on their mobile device, but they built a railroad and a town. And now, over 100 years later, you read and hear about them and marvel at what they accomplished. Mary and I are proud to have grown up and worked in that place named Anchorage, Alaska. Thank you to all those pioneers who made the long journey, saw the potential, and worked hard to make a dream come true. Without them, there would be no Anchorage memories. From a tent city to modern-day Anchorage, Alaska, the largest city in the largest state. Until next time, Mike and Mary, the Anchorage, Alaska Memories Club.